House Taking Over by Julio Cortazar. We like the house because, apart from its being old and spacious, in a day when all houses go down for a profitable action of their construction materials, it kept the memories of great grandparents, our paternal grandfather, our, our parents, and the whole of childhood. Irene and I got used to staying in the house by ourselves, which was crazy. 8 people could have lived in that place and not have gotten each other's way. We rose at 7 in the morning and got the cleaning done. And about 11, I left Irene to finish off whatever rooms and went to the kitchen. We lunched at noon precisely. Then there was nothing left to do but a few dirty plates. It was pleasant to take lunch and commune with the great Holland, silent house, and it was enough for us just to keep it clean. We ended up thinking, at times, that was that had kept us from marrying. Irene turned down 2 suitors for a particular reason, and Maria Esther went and died on me before we could manage to get engaged. We were easing into our 40s with the unvoiced concept that the quiet, simple marriage of sister and brother was the indispensable end to a line established in the house by our grandparents. We will die here some day. Obscure and distant cousins will inherit the place, have it torn down, sell the bricks, and get rich on the building plot. Or more justly, and better yet, we would topple it ourselves before it was too late. Irene never bore anyone. Once the morning housework was finished, she spent the rest of the day on the sofa in her bedroom, knitting. I couldn't tell you why she knit so much. I think women knit when they discover that it's a fake excuse to do nothing at all. But Irene wasn't like that. She always knit necessities. Sweaters for the winter, socks for me, handy morning robes, and bed jackets for herself. Sometimes she would do a jacket, then unravel in the next moment because there was something that didn't please her. It was pleasant to see a pile of tangled wool in her knitting basket fighting a loose bottom for a few hours to retain its shape. Saturdays, I went downtown to buy wool. Irene had faith in my good taste, was pleased with the colors, and never a skin had to be returned. I took advantage of these trips to make the rounds of the bookstore, uselessly asking if they had anything new in French literature. Nothing worldwide had arrived in Argentina since 1939. But it's the house I want to talk about. The house and Irene. I'm not very important. I wonder that Irene would have done without her knitting. One can reread a book, but once a pullover is finished, you can do it over again. It's some kind of disagree. One day I found that the drawer at the bottom of the chiffonier, replete with mothballs, was filled with shawls, white, green, lilac, stacked amid a great smell of camphor. It was like a shop. I didn't have the nerve to ask her what she planned to do with them. We didn't have to earn our living. There was plenty coming in from the farms each month, even piling up. But Irene was only interested in the knitting and showed a wonderful dexterity. And for me, the hours slipped away watching her. Her hands like silver sea orchids, needle fashion, and one of the 2 knitting baskets on the floor, the ball and jar jumping about. It was lovely. How not to remember the layout out of the house? The dining room, the living room, with the tapestries, the library, and the 3 large bedrooms in the section most resist, the one that faced toward Rodriguez Peña. Only a corridor with its massive outdoor separate the part from the front wing, where there was a bath, the kitchen, about bedrooms, and the hall. One entered the house through the vestibule with enamel tiles and a and a wrought iron gate door opened onto the living room. You had to come in through the vestibule and open the gate to go into the living room. The doors to our bedroom were on either side of this, and opposite was the corridor leading to the back section, going down to a passage, and a swoon open to a door beyond, which was the other part of the house, or just before the door. One could turn to the left and go down a narrower passageway which led to the kitchen and the bath. When the door was open, you became aware of the size of the house. When it was closed, you had the impression of an apartment, like the ones they build today, with barely enough room to move around in. Irene and I always lived in this part of the house, and hardly ever went beyond the oak dock except to do the cleaning. Incredible how much does collect on the furniture. It was maybe Buenos Aires is a clean city, but she owns it to her population and nothing else. There's too much dust in the air. The slightest breeze and it back on the marble console tops and the diamond partners of the 2-liter deck set. It's a lot of work to get it off with a feather duster. The moths rise and hang in the air. The zero again a mirror letter of the pianos and the furniture. I always have a clear memory of it because it happened too simple and without fuss. Irene was knitting in her bedroom. It was 8 at night, and I suddenly decided to put the water up for mate. I went down to the corridor as far as the oak door, which was ajar, then turned into the hall toward the kitchen, when I heard something in the library or the dining room. The sound came through mute and indistinct. A chair being knocked over onto the carpet, on the muffled buzzing of a conversation. At the same time, or a second later, I heard it at the end of the passage, which led from two rooms toward the door. I hurled myself against the door before it was too late, and shut it, leaning on it the weight of my body. Luckily, the key was on our side. Moreover, I ran the great bolt into place, just to be safe. I went down to the kitchen, hit the kettle, and when I got back with the tray of meat, I told Irene I had to shut the door to the passage. They've taken over the back part. She let the knitting fall and looked at me with her tired, serious eyes. You sure? I nodded. In that case, she said, pick up her knitting again. We'll have to live on this side. I sipped and the maid very carefully, but she took her time stirring her work again. I remember it was a great vest she was knitting. I liked that vest. The first few days were painful. Since we both left so many things in the park that had been taken over. Many collections of French literature, for example, was still in the library. Irene had left several folios and stationery and pairs of slippers that she used a lot in the winter. I missed my Briar Peep, and Irene, I think, regretted the loss of an Asian bottle of Hesperidines. It happened repeatedly, but only in the first few days. Then we would close some drawer or cabinet and look at one another sadly. It's not here. One thing more among the many laws of the other side of the house. But there were advantages too. The cleaning was so much simpler to that, even when we got up late, 9:30 for instance. By 11 we were sitting around with our arms folded. Irene got into the habit of coming to the kitchen with me to help get lunch. We thought about it and decided on this. While I prepared the lunch, Irene would cook up dishes that could be eaten cool in the evening. We were happy with the arrangement because it was always such a bother to leave our bedrooms in the evening and start to cook. Now we made do with the table in Irene's room and partners of cold supper. Since it left her more time to knitting, Irene was content. I was a little lost without my books, but so as not to inflict myself on my sister, I set about reordering Papa's stamp collection. That killed some time. We amused ourselves sufficiently, each with his own thing, almost always getting together in Irene's bedroom, which was the more comfortable. Every once in a while, Irene may say, "Look at this partner. I just figured it out. Doesn't it look like clover?" After a bit it was I, pushing a small square of paper in front of her so that she could see the excellence of some stamp of another from Upa e Malmedy. We were fine. A little by little we stopped thinking. You can live without thinking. Wherever Irene talked in her sleep, I woke up immediately and stayed awake. I never could get used to this voice from a statue on a parrot, a voice that came out from the dreams, not from a throat. Irene said that in my sleep I fell about erroneously and shook the blankets up. We had a living room between us, but at night you could hear everything in the house. We hear each other breathing, coughing, could even feel each other reaching for the light switch when, as happened frequently, neither of us could fall asleep. Aside from our nocturnal rumblings, everything was quiet in the house. During the day, three were the whole house sound: the metallic click of knitting needles, the rustle of a stamped album page turning. The outdoor was massive. I think I said that. In the kitchen or the bath, which enjoyed the part that was taking over, we managed to talk loudly, or Irene sang lullabies. In a kitchen, there's always too much noise, the plates and glasses, for the three to be interruption from another sound. We seldom allow ourselves silence there, but when we went back to our rooms or to the living room, then the house went quiet, hard-lived. We end by stepping around more slowly so as not to disturb one another. I think it was because of this that I woke up irremediably and at once when Irene began to talk in her sleep. Except for the consequence, it's nearly a matter of repeating the same scene over again. I was thirsty that night, and before we went to sleep, I told Irene that I was going to the kitchen for a glass of water. From the door of the bedroom, she was knitting. I heard the noise in the kitchen. If not the kitchen, then the bath, the passage of at that angle double sound. Irene noticed how brusquely I had paused, and came up beside me with a word. We stood listening to the noises, growing more and more sure that they were on our side of the oak door. If not, the kitchen, the bath, or in the hall itself and the throne almost next to us. We didn't want to look at one another. I took Irene's arm and forced her to run with me to a ground iron door, not waiting to look back. You could hear the noises, still muffled louder, just behind us. I slept grating and we stopped in the vestibule. Now there was nothing to be here. They've taken over our section, Irene said. We need the knitting that released from the hands and the yarn ran back toward the door and disappeared under it. When she saw that the balls of yarn were on the other side, she dropped the knitting without looking at it. Did you have to bring anything? I asked hopelessly. No, nothing. We had what we had on. I remember 15,000 pesos in the wardrobe in my bedroom. Too late now. I still had my wristwatch on. I saw that it was 11 p.m. I took Irene around the waist. I think she was crying. And that was how we went into the street. Before we left, I felt terrible. I looked the front door up, tight and tossed the key down the sewer. It wouldn't do to have some poor devil decide to go in and rob the house at that hour, and the difference with the house taking over.